Hey, where is everybody? Hello?
Oh, this is not happening.
Anyone here?
This is not happening. This is not happening.
Aren't they supposed to be saving our asses?
Looks like there's been a change of plans.
If you're wondering why this script took so long to finish, that's because this is the second version of it. The first round, I got a decent chunk of the way through, but instead of being like a standard challenge run, in order to not be called a ripoff of Nurbit, Jabbo, Juve, or Mitten Squad, or anyone else who does challenge runs, it was going to be formatted like a story, following the gambler as the narrator, me, walked the watcher through his escapades. I was even going to do a few bits about how, like, certain characters were also from the universe Nick was pulled from, so it came across as super cringe, and I just decided to scrap it and start anew. Then, like, immediately before I finished the script, I got sick, so then I had to take a couple days to get better. So if I sound a little different, it's because I'm still mostly recovered, but, you know, just getting over it a little bit takes a little time. But with all that said, it is time to get on with this run that has been long in the making. The rules for the run are as follows. For armor, I am only allowed to wear white suits, such as the grimy or dirty pre-war suits, as that is what Nick wears in-game. I'm only allowed to wield weapons that appeared in Left 4 Dead 2, or weapons that are close enough to a weapon that appears in Left 4 Dead 2, but not exactly, just so that way I'm a bit more free in what I can wield. So in total, I have access to the 9mm pistol, the hunting shotgun, the assault carbine, the varmint rifle, the hunting rifle, the automatic rifle, the light machine gun, the sniper rifle, and the grenade rifle, as well as any variants of said gun. And if you get mad at me for using a variant instead of one that looks exactly like the one from the Left 4 Dead 2 game, well, then I'm just using mods. Get over it. For melee, I get the katana, the fire axe, the machete, the baseball bat, the 9-iron, the knife, the chainsaw, and the shovel, and any of their variants. This rule came up shortly after I started playing, but just like how no one in Left 4 Dead aims down sights unless they're scoping, I had to hip-fire all my shots outside of scoping with a gun. Lastly, I had to play to Nick's strengths. Firstly, he's an asshole, and isn't above doing wrong things if it makes him a profit or it keeps him out of trouble with a larger, stronger group, though this may change throughout the course of his adventure as he warms up to the new world he's in. Character arcs and all that. Also, I need to be banned from every casino by the time the game ends. With all that said, let's get started. I didn't put much effort into trying to make the character look accurate to the man, but I think I did fine enough. After dumping the DLC items in a box, even my beloved Vault 13 canteen, I decided upon my special stats, which I went for 5 strength, 6 perception, 5 endurance, 8 charisma, 6 intelligence, 2 agility, and 8 luck. I feel these are pretty accurate to Nick's stats, though maybe charisma was a little too high in retrospect, and I definitely should have put a bit more into agility, but I think that for now, it's good enough. I stand up during the interrogation, so Doc Mitchell has to look up at me to intimidate him, before deciding my tag skills of barter, speech, and lockpick, and the traits built to destroy and fast shot. Con him out of some more stim packs before I start robbing Goodsprings, looking in mailboxes for skill magazines that I might need for checks, and taking what I want from the abandoned schoolhouse. Because of my inability to aim down sight, I've already run out of most of my 9mm, so I decide to waste the rest of it shooting birds. Realizing I need some more equipment, I head to the abandoned shack to pick up a 9-iron and a machete.
I'm gonna whack the shit out of some with this.
As I marked locations along the path, and killing Barton Thorne for XP. I can barely see my Pip-Boy screen, so I ask Sonny to teach me how to use a gun goodly, and after encountering a fight and stealing some of Trudy's stuff, I get my first level up, and I decide to use this level up to boost lockpick to 40, guns to 15, and science up to 19, as well as pick up the Lady Killer perk. I mean, come on, Nick's suave with the ladies. I rob a few more places, picking up Trudy's Chinese spy book to increase my sneak by 3, as well as steal her shotgun and medical supplies, because even if I can't use it, I can sell it. Now, because Nick is at the beginning of his arc, he's primarily a selfish jerk, so he'd rather side with the Powder Gangers in this dispute simply because they control more territory and thus will be a bigger threat to him out and about, rather than a bunch of backwater hicks who give birth to their brothers. So I decide to start by killing Ringo. His bullets do a lot more damage than I was expecting, but I butchered him all the same, and then proceeded to rob him of all his belongings. God, the Pip-Boy light is painful to look at. I sleep off my injuries before making it look like he died in his sleep, ignore the lacerations on his back, before reporting to Cobb that he's dead, and after getting some leather armor from Chet and medical supplies from Doc, Nick and the Powder Gangers rush in and attack. Nick focused Trudy due to her caravan shotgun before slashing Sunny and her dog to death. However, there was still someone alive over at Black Mountain? Hoping they'd walk back once I had killed Doc, I lure him outside before putting him to the club, and he stole the weathered 10mm pistol I put in his box. Huh. Neat. Didn't grab any ammo for it though, so kinda worthless. But still, the guy hasn't returned from Black Mountain, so I have to run all the way out there in order to find him before he teleports back. Eventually, I find Easy Pete, who almost killed me had it not been for the wolves who came to Nick's rescue. They were killed as well. The Powder Gangers now own the town, and to reward my good work, I pick up an extended mag for my pistol, before moving out to find what else the wasteland has to offer. And hopefully some pants. I drink enough water to fill an entire bathtub to restore my health before moving south for the winter, encountering some Powder Gangers before I arrive in the town of Primm, which I decide to show it who's boss by stealing their mines and gunning them down. I sneak up the roller coaster path and hide behind a barrel to protect myself from the oncoming gunfire, as the idiot gets close enough for me to beat him down with my club. Once infiltrating the place, I lure one of the guys over and run out of the building when he throws a stick of dynamite so I don't explode. And then I come back in to brain him and his teammate, which gets me another level, as well as 10 points of gun, 1 point of science, and 2 points of speech. I clear out the upper floor, finding lots of drugs and guns to repair my own with, before heading downstairs and gunning down the rest of the convicts, and stealing their stuff too. Though it does cost me the last of my machete's durability. However, the golf club is able to clean up the last of them. I rescue Beagle and convince him to help me deal with the boss, and he actually manages to survive, which gives me the quest to find a new deputy for the town. But not before I hack into a computer and get me some more junk. I was at this stupid computer for like 6 minutes, you don't even know. This terminal hates me. Once done there, I realize I hadn't visited some important looting locations, so I retreat and mark the Powder Gangers West Camp, as well as Gene's skydiving, which has more loot for me to use or sell for my own gain, as well as the location of the attack Ringo starred in. I head over towards the prison to find Myers before Malcolm Holmes appears out of nowhere, and I kill him for his caps and, most importantly, his 308 bullets. I pay the stupid toll to make it in before sending Myers out of here and collecting another star bottle cap. Then, since I need to go to the trading hub anyways, I start making my way south, killing the convicts and the Vipers with equal trigger finger fury. I did level up for a third time, and got a book to increase my gun stat, with my 13 points going towards 2 to guns, so the book can make an even 5, 10 to lockpick, so I can now get those medium locks unlocked, and 1 to speech, as a treat, with my perk being educated, since while he's not the smartest guy ever, Nick certainly isn't stupid. After clearing out some rad scorpions to get some more food supplies and a book I never read, I then head to the Mojave Outpost to sell some items I don't need or can't use, and buy my third melee weapon, the baseball bat.
This is nice. I'm gonna crack some heads with it.
And thankfully, it's the Gunrunner's Arsenal version, meaning I can also pick up upgrades for it down the line, such as the nails from this merchant, which, now that this is going to be a permanent member of my party, I decide to name it Rouge the Bat. Major Knight gives Hayes permission to be the deputy of Primm, and then I beat the crap out of Ants for Ranger Jackson to get more XP, and a service rifle I can't use. I also tell Hayes about his promotion, and he rewards me with enough XP for me to level again. This level was mostly about evening out my stats, bringing energy weapons, explosives, medicine, melee weapons, repair, speech, and unarmed to the closest even number. Then I head down the road past Gene's skydiving towards Sloan, finding even more random food I can eat, and 2 books I can read for bonus stats, so 3 more points of explosive and repair. and then I read a magazine to heal Snuffles for some NCR money and rep to make up for massacring their townsfolk. Sorry about that. I head along the road, marking a powder ganger camp as well as Hidden Valley, before heading out the eastern hole towards Black Mountain. I then use my own personal Black Mountain shortcut, which is discovering the location, fast traveling there, and then running to the left as fast as possible to avoid the powerful super mutants, marking the El Dorado substation and Helios 1 before I arrive at my destination, the 188 trading post, where I sell my service rifle before continuing up the path towards the gun runners, where I will be shopping very frequently. Like right now, where I drop off things I don't need before heading on to New Vegas, where finally Mick sells me a dirty pre-war business wear, letting me put something on Nick's naked butt. I celebrate by beating up a Freeside thug with my golf club, stealing his machete to repair my own, and getting distracted. I head over to the Atomic Wrangler to pick up some quests for easy caps, starting off with the cap collecting quest. Nick uses his power of flirtation to get Lady Jane's caps, before collecting the caps from Grex and punching Santiago in order to get the caps out of him. I can't get on the strip thanks to my lack of caps, so instead I head off elsewhere, marking the Crimson Caravan, before, I guess, deciding to go to the Boomers. For whatever reason. However, soon after I arrived, some NCR Rangers who have been chasing me since, at some point, stopped me to tell me to leave the substation alone, and then they got exploded. Yes, I did steal from their corpses. Afterwards, I decided to take my bat on some ants for some easy XP, before dying to the ambush guys. This time, I decided to try fighting some super mutants to level up, and while I did get battered quite a bit, I do get my hands on a sledgehammer, which I regret to inform you I did use because while it's not in the base game, I have played so much modded maps, particularly the Resident Evil maps, which included the weapon, I had entirely forgotten it wasn't base game. Don't worry, for my transgressions, one of the super mutants takes their rifle and lands a headshot, taking me out instantly, meaning another large amount of wasted time. This time around, I decided to head south of Novak to take out the Vipers in order to steal their crap. It really, really hurts, and I very nearly die several times, but I'm able to win the fight and get a bunch of crap for me to use now, such as a grenade launcher.
Time to make some zombie soup.
While running towards Camp McCarran, I encounter some fiends who kill me in 2 shots. Now don't get me wrong, I don't have any damage threshold, literally no defense. But this seems quick. Suspicious of this, I check my settings and find that I have been playing on very hard this entire time. Oops. Once the settings have been changed, I try murdering them again, and this time it goes much easier. I keep finding dead raiders and stealing their drugs, though I do get killed again. Oops. Once I get the money required to make it onto the strip, I collect a bunch of magazines and stare at Benny in order to obtain 1000 XP, and I use this to push speech up by 5, repair by 2, explosives by 2, barter by 5, and survival by 1. As well as picking up the toughness perk for 3 points of defense, which currently is my only form of defense. The only good thing about the business wear is it gives me 5 points of speech, and considering how many speech checks require 50, things are going to be pretty okay with 45 points. Next, I decide to help the junkies for Julie Fox. First by murdering Dixon, which, as a bonus, gets me some very useful drugs. What, just because I'm helping others get off drugs doesn't mean I won't take them. The less addicts there are, the more for me. I also level, getting 5 points of barter and 10 points of sneak. Both druggies are helped out for Julie before I kill Caleb for the Atomic Wrangler. Next up, I get more ammo from the gun runners before I level up, turning in Julie Fox quests, and telling her to work with the Garretts, which brings me to level 8. This gives me 10 points of gun and 5 of barter, and the second rank of toughness. A very lazy level up, I will admit, but one that is very helpful since now I can actually somewhat take damage. Next, James tells me to get some sex workers for him, which means Old Ben, the ghoul that hangs out with the followers, and Fisto, though I'm not smart enough to do that yet. So instead, I decide to go get me Rat Slayer, so I can have a silenced scoped rifle for the early to mid game. This was a lot harder than I thought. The rats in here hit way harder than you'd expect rats to hit, even with my 2 ranks of toughness. Long story short, I die once, nearly die several times over, but eventually I am rewarded with a lot of medical supplies, magazines, and most importantly, the Rat Slayer, which is just a fancy varmint rifle. But man, did that entire encounter suck. And then when I leave, there's a bunch of Night Stalkers, so I just run away until I can fast travel. Then it's time for more ant murder. And then I stealth kill the ambush guys over here and loot their crap. I also get the star bottle caps from Thomas, and then I kill him for the rest of his supplies. This was clearly a good act because it leveled me up, gaining 10 points in guns and 5 in lockpick. And I also steal from the girl he killed as well. Once arriving in Nellis, I decide now's a good time as any to butcher the Legion, because Nick may be a terrible person, but he's not a slaver. Mostly because that's bound to come back and bite him in the butt at some point. Though he's smart enough to use a stealth boy and his silenced rifle to keep the Legion from knowing that it was him. And he can steal their stuff and money for free! Plus, I get a reward from Ranger Ghost as well, so that's nice. Not sure what else to do, I warp to the 188 trading post before going east to Boulder City to deal with the Khans and the NCR. Though, for some reason, they're instantly hostile to me. I legit have no idea why. I wanted to try and be reasonable, but it seems that reason dies tonight, and I slaughter the Khans. Funnily enough, they didn't even execute the hostages, so I was able to rescue them and deal with Jessup pretty easily. While dropping off my items, I pick up the GRA assault carbine and lots of ammo.
Grabbing the assault rifle.
Now giving me a rapid-fire weapon to spray and pray with, so this is going to be a primary weapon for me throughout the rest of the run. With this new upgrade to my arsenal, I head over to Black Mountain and get my revenge on the Super Mutants, stealing all their caps and more 5mm. They still hit incredibly hard, but the carbine lets me dish out as much as I take, though I still get sniped, so once again, I am beaten by these stupid mutants. Instead, I go kill Mo and their other centaurs for the tons of XP they give, as well as letting me loot the dead paladins for some good stuff. The rotting Brahmin corpse, doesn't look that dead to me. Foregoing all forms of honor, Nick slips in through the secret path and then starts a rear attack, which pays off as he finally, nope, dead again. This lack of armor is so painful. I keep sniping them on the third attempt at this, which who would have guessed that keeping my distance would give me an advantage. Finally, I put Tabitha to the sword, and by sword I mean 47 rounds of 5mm fired from my assault carbine, thus completing crazy, and leveling me up again. I reward myself with 10 points of lockpick and 5 of medicine, I'm just that kind of girly, as well as the finesse perk for more crits. Once again, I return to the gun runners to sell more stuff, before making my way over to a random farm in order to get another important part of my repertoire, the hunting shotgun.
Going with the shotgun.
There are some Vipers at the farm, but that just means I get XP for murdering them, and more money thanks to selling their clothes and weapons. One of them even has reinforced leather armor, and that stuff's pricey. Returning to the 188 trading post, I get an extended mag for my carbine, more ammo, a doctor's bag, and a choke for my shotgun, making me that much more deadly with this thing, especially once I start picking up some shotgun perks. I've mostly been going on the defensive for my perks, or things to end fights quickly, but now it's about time to get more aggressive. Next up, I head over to the Lucky 38 to steal all the drugs, pre-war money, and soda I possibly can, before turning in my snow globes and the one in the bar, as well as picking up my first quest for Mr. House. I show Swank all my evidence and use my speech to convince him to let me check out Benny's room, and once meeting Yes Man, I decide the only course of action is to take the Rat Slayer, convince this guy to look away, and then gun down Benny, getting me the platinum chip and some cool looking stuff. I assassinate the Legion manager for fun, and stash his body in the grass to let nature reclaim him, before beginning talent pool for Tommy Torini. If Nick is going to spend 99% of his time on the strip, he better have a good show to watch when he visits the tops. So I pick up Billy for him, before dropping off the platinum chip with Mr. House and being told to go to the Legion in order to upgrade the Securitrons. But instead, I decide to pick up Hadrian from the Garretts for Tommy and tell him about the prostitutes I've picked up so far, as he gives me 5 points of barter, gun, and medicine for my level up, as well as the Shotgun Surgeon perk. So now, while I barely have any defense, I can now ignore 10 points of my enemies, which for some of them will be all of their defense. This is one of the best perks in the game, which you would have known if you watched my New Vegas perk tier list. Though, to be fair, if you haven't, it's 2 hours long. I get it. That is a long video to get through. Then I get Bishop, kill a whole bunch of ants, and pick up the Lonesome Drifter to round off the quest and get me a good amount of caps and XP. Cliff Briscoe then sells me the light bolt part for the carbine, as well as some more medical supplies, meaning all that's left for me to track down for this thing is the forged receiver to increase its HP bar. I bring Jeannie Mae out in front of the dinosaur for a boon, one killer aiding another, and then I get jumped by some vipers who have apparently respawned at their hideout. How rude of them. In my quest for more XP, I mark Clark Field and deal with the golden geckos for their meat as I continue heading south towards the Legion's base camp, stopping along the way to do some hunting for quality meats, and a level up, where I allocate 10 points into lockpick, 3 into survival, and 2 into barter. Once I've collected my game, and I hunted a lot of game, like Oregon Trails levels of game, I make my way to the cove and across the waters to meet Caesar. He tells me to blow up the bunker, but I'm not about to listen to a slaving bastard like him, so after dealing with a bunch of highly advanced robot guns, with a spiky baseball bat, I start the production of extra Securitrons and nearly get murdered by sentry bots. But a combination of drugs and my carbine make it so I'm able to escape with my life. Barely. I do get the Lord Death perk though, so now I'm dealing a whopping 1% extra damage to all foes. I pretend that I'm on Caesar's side and say that I'll definitely kill Mr. House. Yep, definitely. Mr. House levels me up, and I allocate 5 points into survival, so I can eventually cook all those bighorners I hunted, and the 10 goes to explosives, to improve my skill with my grenade launcher, as I pick up the Adamite Skeleton perk, because if Nick can go through this, and this, and this, and then walk it off with a bottle of pain pills, guy's skeleton has got to be built different. Oh, and I do the follower's quest to bug Mr. House's computer, because I can never have too much XP. Without much better idea of what to do next, I decide to head over to Repcon to deal with the ghouls, because, hunting down the undead with handguns and shotguns just feels familiar to Nick in some strange way. I primarily used Maria in this area, not only to use my larger supply of 9mm, but also so I can complete the GRA challenge. The same could be said of all religious weapons. Mostly for the 250 XP for completing the challenge. I will take literally any experience I can get. There is no such thing as too far for experience. Even though glowing ghouls seem to be smarter than ferals, I mean, they're still ghouls. Nick isn't exactly looking to help them, at least in the long run. So in an absolutely brilliant move on his part, Nick guns down Harland and reads the invoice without doing his part of the quest, so the super mutants can leave without any further hassle, and, more importantly, without any further ammo being spent. Once the ghouls have left the area, Nick steals all their rat stuff because, let's be real, they're not gonna use it. And then, to deal with the ghouls once and for all, I convince Haversam to sabotage the rockets with some sugar bombs. I level up while collecting the supplies, giving me 5 points of survival, guns, and lockpick. After gecko hunting, Nick flirts with Old Lady Gibson for the other part, and then I spend an annoyingly long amount of time looking for the sugar bombs. But Cliff Briscoe supplies me with them, and I supply the ghouls with an explosive good time. Job well done. Best part of all this is that now I'm liked by Novak, giving me an apartment where I can dump stuff off that I don't want or need anymore, but don't necessarily want to sell. Mostly what I dump are cartons of cigarettes that I'll use later, any non-suit clothing, and quite a lot of food that I either can't cook yet, or weapons I don't have ammo for, or my non-Maria 9mm pistol. I buy a shotgun to repair my own, the long tube for my shotgun, and the scope for my hunting rifle, as well as ammo after upgrading my items. With plenty of money, Nick decides to get some cybernetic boosts, because why not? Nick seems like he'd be the kind of guy who'd do that thing. First, I decide to flex on the mole rats by getting the agility boost, making Nick that much faster when reloading. As Nick was celebrating his newfound speed, he heard a noise coming from his Pip-Boy, a radio signal about a job that paid good money, escorting a caravan to a place in Utah called New Canaan. Figuring it'd be easy money, Nick decided to tag along, beginning his trip into Honest Hearts. I bully Rick for as much XP as I can, as well as 25 additional carry capacity, and then head out to Zion National Park. Honest Hearts is probably the most okay DLC. It's not fantastic like some, and it's not horrible like others, it's just okay. I like the wide openness of the DLC and the fact that it's such an XP farm, but it does tend to lack spectacle outside of the visuals, because seeing rain in a Fallout game is genuinely really cool. Screw off Fallout 4. Once arriving in Zion, I get a strange familiar feeling, as if I'm playing Versus, because all of my team gets murdered incredibly quickly, and since they're not going to use it, I might as well take all their stuff. I meet up with Follows Chalk, and he accompanies me as I gun down the giant Yaoguai for its meat, and some geckos to get the first rank of Pest Control, and oh my god, this guy just does not shut up. I meet up with Joshua, and he gives me quite a bit of commands, and enough XP to level once again, giving me 3 points of guns, 2 sneak, 10 more lockpicking, and the better criticals perk, to really make sure my crits put the enemy down. After making some ammo for myself and collecting the first survival cache, Nick picks up the quest for the Bighorner baby delivery, and I tell Chalk to stay far away from me, since I know how trigger happy he can be, the idiot. After watching whatever's going on here, I bring the baby back to its mom without even killing any of them. Even if I really wanted to. Have you seen how good Bighorner steaks are? I drop down from the cliff's edge into the water on my very first try, totally, before I head out and start collecting the supplies Joshua and the lamest man in existence want from me, starting off with the compass. Yaoguais are this season's big game, so I make a point to kill everyone I can, since their meat gives quite a bit of HP and a 10% damage boost. I head up the road after repairing the compass, crossing bridges, hunting rad scorpions, and helping the simple people with the simple foes they face, though they have some pretty good loot, like bitter drinks. And they give me a brand new weapon in my arsenal, fire bombs, which are basically just Molotov cocktails, although they kinda suck in this game. I clear out the gecko-filled house for the radio, as I waste my time realizing just how little there is to talk about gameplay-wise in Zion. There was a floating axe 26 minutes 55 seconds into the recording session, so that was pretty cool. Wait, you mean there was a second one at 29:55, exactly 3 minutes later? That's awesome! The pests in the medical supply building don't even try and act threatening, nor do the scorpions in the house north. I put 10 points into lockpick to max it out, and 5 into guns for... Now why did I do that? Best part about maxing out lockpick is now I can instant pick very easy and easy locks with 100% and 80% accuracy, not only allowing me to do them faster, but I'm pretty sure forcing a lock gets you 1.5 times the XP, so that's nice. I take on 2 Yaoguai at once, cause I'm just that cool, ignore how much health I was at, and then continue lockpicking, exploring, collecting, and getting XP. It's not that interesting to talk about, but it does give me pretty good rewards, so that's nice, I guess. I meet up with Daniel and learn that he's keeping the fact that this grown woman's husband is dead a secret from her because he's white? Whatever. Telling Walking Cloud gets me some XP, so really, who cares? Why is this man Bible speaking to me? He tells me he wants to massacre the White Legs, and I mean, sounds fun. Explosives are planted in a cave, killed a few more Yaoguai, and bada bing bada boom, 666 XP, letting me hit level 18 after I killed a Tommy firing White Legs. 10 in medicine, 5 in survival, and the and stay back perk, to reference the explosive rounds from Left 4 Dead, and how they knocked enemies around. Walking Cloud hits on me not even 24 hours after learning her husband is dead, and I begin clearing out the dangerous spots Daniel wants me to. Jesus Lord above, Cloud! And then I snipe a girl so hard the game crashes. Fun. Fun fact. So far, you've seen 6 of the 16 recording sessions it took to beat the game, and you will never see 7. And neither will I. Because in the middle of getting my butt kicked by some giant manti, I simultaneously killed and was killed by the manti, causing the game to crash and lock up so bad that New Vegas froze, my recording software froze, my entire PC froze, and I had to turn the power off with the button to force a hard reset. So, fun. On to Session 8. Session 8 begins with another freaking crash. Look, clearly, God himself is making this a living hell for me. I need to get out of here as soon as possible before he blows up my PC. Speed running the rest of the campaign, I kill the tribemen and steal their totems because I'm a dick, clear the Bridge of Danger, level up and get 5 points of survival, 8 of barter, and 2 in medicine, obtain the map of the Grand Staircase, tell Daniel that he's a loser, level again, and get 5 points of repair and 10 of survival so I can finally cook Bighorner steak. A pristine, delicious meal only for the finest aristocrats and gamblers. And the Fight the Power perk just so we can deal bonus damage to those godforsaken riot zombies. And then Joshua and Nick storm the beaches of, Whitelegs Land. Nothing super interesting happens outside of this bone breaker making a dog noise at 27:30 before I make it to the head honcho's place and convince him to stand up and fight instead of cowering, like a coward. And so with my fire bullets, Nick puts an end to the Whitelegs Warlord, and we get another level out of it, increasing my melee by 10 and explosives by 5. I steal all the good gear to put in my closet and never use, and then I get the heck out of Zion. 1 DLC down, 3 to go. But before we leave, being the godless heathen Nick is, he throws the scriptures into the waters below, as a personal insult to Daniel and his pathetic ways. I head to the Vendortron immediately after to sell most of what I picked up, and get more ammo for my current weapons, as well as picking up a chainsaw and the long barrel for my grenade launcher. Deciding to do a bit of good after the last DLC, Nick decides to free some slaves by convincing the Legion that they have some terrible disease he made up right then and there, and paying 150 caps for him, which is an absolute steal. Now that the slaves are free, Nick decides that the only thing left to do is dump the barrels of radioactive sludge on them, which doesn't kill them, and they just stand there not doing anything. I mean, it can't exactly be committing crimes against humanity if they're stuck in place. I spam drugs to get the Day Tripper perk, so my drugs last longer, as well as getting the Luck Booster implant. And to coop my losses, it's time to hit the casinos, exchanging my NCR money collected from powder gangers and the like for chips. And then it's blackjack time. After a bunch of gambling, and I do mean a bunch of gambling, I completely clear out the tops and get all associated rewards before running away from the guy who wants to ban me for a bit, then cashing out my reward money. After getting distracted again, I decide to get back on track by heading over to Nelson, where I decide stealth is the best method of rescuing the NCR troops, cause the last thing I want is Legion assassin groups chasing me down wherever I go. I managed to help them escape, and even though they were shooting at me, I didn't lose any Legion rep for doing so that's nice. However, as I was running away, I saw on my Pip-Boy that there was only one place I could escape to, being the nearby abandoned Brotherhood of Steel bunker. Hunkering down there, Nick turned his shotgun to the door, but unfortunately he wasn't looking where he was going, setting in motion the events of Dead Money. Once waking up, Nick realizes how utterly screwed he is, and he starts doing the only thing he knows how to do, picking up dropped casino chips. See, the problems only get worse because not only do I not have any of my items, but the one weapon given to me is an energy weapon, one I can't use. After picking the starting location clean, Nick continues scavenging for supplies, like this 9mm he can actually use, and some more booze to drown his sorrows in. This DLC will be tough since I'm expected to slice limbs off, and I don't think a 9mm will be all that great at limb removal. In my first combat with a harvester, it takes most of my ammo to drop just one, and then a few extra rounds to pop the head. I arrive at the first location, that being the police station, a place Nick doesn't feel super comfortable at. Slipping into the back, Nick learns the dangers of the bomb collars and radios as we meet with an insane man. I'm unable to wield the really good police pistol I find, which makes me sad, but I did find the code to buy weapon repair kits from the shops around town. After speaking with the alternate identity of the insane man and convincing him to work with me on this assignment, I level up again, getting 9 speech, 3 medicine, and 1 explosive, gun, and repair stat, as well as the weapon handling perk, since something tells me this guy wouldn't easily be able to handle the intense kick of the M60 without some special help. Exploring more of the villa with my new super mutant pal, I let Dog take over just long enough for us to find, attack, and eat a ghost person so I can get the Ghost Hunter perk, making it so when a ghost person drops to 0 HP, there's a chance one of their limbs will explode, putting them down for good. And then I immediately bring God back out. Making my way to the hospital like it's Silent Hill, God takes the brunt of my damage, which is extra funny because due to a bug, God nor Dog regenerate health. As one might expect, there are some really good supplies to be scavenged out of a place like this, like doctor's bags, a book to increase my medicine by 3, and, of course, stims, as well as a mute. She might be the best thing I found in this place, though God could learn a little thing about personal space. Much of my combat is still just hiding behind God, because I do not have the ammo to deal with encounters. 7 bullets might not be enough for even one ghost person, let alone the hordes found in the villa. Thanks to a code I found back at the hospital, I'm able to get some mentats for later use, before I start looking for the final member of the team. Nick, but he's a zombie. Dog gets dropped in a single punch by the ghost people, and I bravely retreat so God can do more punching, before doing this. I eventually find Dean Domino, and after chatting with him for a bit, he agrees to help out the cause, so it's back to the center for the beginning, as he ditches me to deal with the Cloud. Rude. First up, take the zombie jerk to his castle in the sky. I level up again as I bring him through the destroyed city, getting a handful of sneak, science, repair, and melee, before I continue robbing every single container in sight. Seriously, so much of my playthrough was just looting crap, so be grateful I can cut out all that. Opening and closing and reopening and closing and so much looting. There's so much looting. Eventually, I make it to the spot I'm supposed to drop the ugly man off at, but he's a complete iPad baby, so he requires digital entertainment before I leave. So I do some rooftop running to get to the places I need to go, including escaping the boundaries of the world, before I finish screwing around and activate the holograms, before heading off to my next mission. Like I'm living in a dating sim, where everyone is a woman, I decide to pick up God, and then move along through the city. See, something that the game designers programmed in is that when you shoot one of your allies, your head instantly explodes, for plot reasons. But a baseball bat, you may notice, is not a bullet, so usually after a few fights, I take a few minutes to beat God with my bat to restore his health, and get more crits from my challenges for more free XP. While scavenging around, I managed to find an automatic rifle, another tool for Nick's kit.
Shit, this is a gun.
It's not assault carbine, but it'll do the trick for the duration of dead money, even if it is stupidly heavy. I do have to backtrack to the police station to get the code for 308 rounds, but it'll be worth it in the long run. After repairing my weapons with some kits, I then buy 22 bulks of 308 ammo, which finally gives me a weapon I can fight my own battles with. This lets me kill the ghost people and act as Dog's DoorDash, completing that segment of the quest and leveling me up. 3 guns, 10 speech, 2 barter, with my newest perk being the Travel Light perk. I don't really notice much of a difference, but I mean, I didn't really know what else to pick, so sure, faster movement. Finally, it's time to bring Christine to the place the TV man wants me to take her to. Once we're teamed up and she gives me some XP in the form of skill checks, I give her a police pistol so she can actually fight, before the two of us head out. The two of us head deeper into the substation, hacking computers and definitely not blowing up a time or two. I clear out the vents of any and all imposters before taking out the turrets and arriving at telling Christine to stay in place. She doesn't want to, but the computer lets her do her job and not be claustrophobic, which honestly, Christine being phobic towards Santa Claus, really, in 2025? All that's left is me. After an annoying amount of alarms, traps, explosions, ghost people, another 65 pre-war money which I shove into my back pocket, climbing into places I probably shouldn't be, I make it to the place and start using gas cans I collected throughout the campaign, usable because of these things from Left 4 Dead. I make quicker work of my enemy by blowing them up. The second the gala starts up, the horde is triggered, and it's time to run to conserve my healing items. Like usual though, I get turned around quite a bit, but I'm able to get out without too much trouble, and even buy some more stims and ammo for my automatic. So I'm well equipped to handle the awful final segment of the DLC, the casino. See, Dead Money is okay at first. The entire segment around the villa, collecting your teammates, and finding the spots they need to be in, it's fun. It's enjoyable and feels like a survival horror. Every set piece in the casino is annoying as crap. Every single one. Dealing with Dog and God, unless I've invested a lot into Sneak, I usually explode before I can talk to Dog. The stupid holograms repeating the same 3 lines over and 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 over get on my nerves. The lasers deal way too much damage even when I can actually wear armor. The fight against the final boss sucks, and literally every strategy I've ever used to avoid it fails. Even having next to nothing on me, not having any weapons equipped, and having a stealth boy active, I sneak over this part of the railing and then oops, somehow he always sees me. I hate the backstage area, I hate the underground, I hate the final fight, and I hate Dead Money. The air is roofied as I pass out by my friends, which apparently that experience levels me up. So I get 7 medicine, 2 barter, and 3 explosives and guns. Waking back up, I loot the lobby and then head to the casino, knocking out the security and alarms to keep myself safe before I loot off the rafters, and then leap over the railing to make it to the shopkeep area. I then explore the secret area and loot everything I possibly can because I am greedy. Once I wake the casino up, it's time to gamble. So I head to the blackjack table and earn my fortunes. Most of the rewards suck, except for when I hit 7,500, which gives me a complimentary voucher. This will be important later, trust me. Once I'm banned, I buy a bunch of stims, read a book to increase my guns, I apparently got at some point, then I buy 25 weapon repair kits and over 4,000 rounds of 308. Should be enough for the rest of the DLC. Now it's time to deal with Godog, where Nick finds him in an immense amount of pain. He's suffering, he's hurting, and he wants to take control. But the one time he tries to take control back from the people who have hurt him, it would lead to the death of Christine, Dean, Nick, and most importantly, Nick. But even after downing alcohol, Nick can't help the super mutant. He just can't get through to him. And so with no other option, Nick decides the only thing he can do is put the beast out of his misery, finally letting things go quiet, as the super mutant breathes his last. Nick doesn't feel satisfied with how things went. It wasn't like gunning down a thug, or scamming a crook out of their hard-earned caps. And after traveling to a new dimension, Nick had softcore disassociated. These people weren't real. They didn't really matter. It was just a bad trip. No trip had ever been so bad. He was forced to tell what was mentally a child to take their own life. This wasn't fun anymore. And yet, he still had 3 people left to deal with. Next up was the ghoul, Dean Domino. And apparently, Dean didn't like the fact that Nick explained to him earlier that if there was a bomb under Nick's chair, there was 0 chance of Dean getting out, either being blown up by his chair or the bomb collar around his neck. And so Dean was going to do his best to kill him right here, right now. And like everything else he was doing it from a distance, as he activated the security system to kill Nick. I run around in the backside, stealing from Dean's personal stashes, including a book that increases my speech by 3, before it's time to confront that grade A pants stain Dean. He tries to blackmail me or something, but to be honest, I wasn't listening. I was just waiting for an opportunity to unload 308 into him. Suffice to say, that suit didn't do him any favors, and Nick walks away considerably more satisfied than when he dealt with Dog. He also gains 5 melee, 7 speech, 3 barter, and the chemist perk, cause he's great at making adrenaline shots count. Now I wander around the residential area, being utterly lost and hating my life more, eventually finding a hunting shotgun, the security room featuring crap I can sell, and Christine, who's the only member of this stupid team to not hate me, so I appreciate it. Then I do the stupid, awful, terrible dungeon, make it to the vault, and it's finally time to deal with Elijah, Naturally, the only way Nick can. Filling his face with lead. And then I have to redo the fight because Nick's foot got caught in the escape and I fell down the instant death pit. But I did manage to sneak 2 gold bars out, a testimony to what I went through, and 1 more level in the books, meaning 2 more points in barter, 5 in medicine and sneak, and 3 guns. After a long, painful trip to the Sierra Madre, Nick finally manages to escape with his life. Though, perhaps he left something behind in the Sierra Madre. Before leaving the bunker, I find a book to increase my repair by 3, and I grab the complimentary vouchers, worth 1,000 Sierra Madre chips at Elijah's personal Sierra Madre vending machine. Remember how I got banned from the casino earlier? As far as I'm aware, if I don't do that, the machine here won't accept the vouchers, meaning I can only get 100 chips every day, or from dropping off cigarettes. And what do I decide to use 1,476 chips on? 67 bottles of pills, and more 308 rounds. As I attempt to leave, all my old items apparate into my inventory, so even with buff out, I would need 196 more carry capacity to not be slowed, so whatever, I'm walking. Apparently, the most loyal Legionnaire was waiting for me outside the bunker for who knows how long I was at the Sierra Madre. I really didn't want to have to deal with him shooting me the entire time I walked back, so yes, I killed him. The Legion can suck my toes, that guy attacked me first. Wait, I didn't even lose rep for that? Cool. And then I start walking. For 11 minutes. But eventually I'm able to drop off the supplies I don't need, like the rewards from Honest Hearts I apparently still had, and then I go dump off stuff to the Vendortron, like a whole bunch of weapons I don't need anymore, but getting a sniper rifle in return.
Sniper for me.
And all 3 attachments for my chainsaw, so fair deal I think. Picking up another implant, I pick up the subdermal, whatever it's called, so now I have 10 points of defense thanks to it, and my 2 ranks of toughness. Which still isn't as much as normal leather armor. I go for a quick ammo run at my usual shops, before meeting with and doing the bidding of the king. He just seems like a really cool guy. GI Blues isn't a super interesting quest to talk about, just know that while doing the quest, I decide to gamble at the Atomic Wrangler, getting banned in record time and making a 5k cap profit. After completing the quest, I go gambling at Gamora, clear them out, and then do the same at the Ultralux, making in total 24k caps. Not sure what else to do, I head to the Boomers, encountering an employee of the stub station along the way. I don't remember much of what was happening afterwards, I was coming down from a high, so most of the words were going right over my head, but Pip-Boy says I'm doing a quest called Volaire? Sure, alright. I let some random kid rant at me about some anime he watched or whatever, but again, coming down from a high, so I was millions of miles away from this, and I guess he noticed since he wouldn't talk to me. Little brat. Instead, I go kill ants, which is much more satisfying, especially with my chainsaw. And I find the unique grenade launcher Thump Thump, which is basically better in every single way. Activating the sonic emitter I got from Loyal lets me obliterate all the remaining ants, letting me restart the generator for the cute lady, and I guess all the ugly old people, but whatever. Next, I need to go to Helios 1 in order to get the stuff to repair their own solar generators, and after doing that, I randomly warp to Goodsprings Graveyard to fight some bugs. Wait, why did I do that? I mean, I level in the process, getting 1 gun, 2 science, 7 repair, and 5 explosives, and the demolition expert, cause you look me dead in the eyes and tell me that Nick doesn't know how to rig an IED. I clear out Bonnie Springs and go hunting for more yummy bighorner meat, before returning to the Boomers to do more quests, like repairing the solar panels, and finally letting that stupid kid tell me about his anime or whatever. This hangover is really lasted a long while. By the time it finally clears, the kid is finally done talking, so I pretend I was listening by passing speech checks for more XP, which pushes me over the requirements for actually completing Volaire. But before I do, my brain tells me to go to the 188 trading post to upgrade my sniper rifle with a silencer and a carbon fiber, before a strange, green-haired figure approaches Nick and tells him that those of the Ultralux are cannibals, which inspires Nick to go to town. Honestly, this was needed. The run had gotten a bit boring, so a massacre with a carbine was exactly what Nick needed. Now, he wasn't a monster, the civilians did nothing wrong, but the staff? Each and every one of them were treated like the common infected from his world. A few rounds to the dome, and then on to the next, with a bloodlust not seen since the cheeseburger apocalypse of 2009. I eventually clear out the table area, satisfying my craving for killing, and once I'm assured that every member of the White Gloves leadership, even Mortimer, are Jibs, I rob their back room and leave, oh so satisfied. And to do some extra good on top of the murders, I bring Ted's son to him and convince him that a blockade is stupid. Just like him. While the topic is on my mind, I head back to Prim to gamble at the casino there, where the 3 dumb deserters show up. Naturally, they don't get 100 caps out of me. Now I gotta wait a few days before I can gamble, so I head to Red Rock Canyon to get revenge on the people who scorned me, sniping them to make sure there's not a single one left. Gunning down the cons actually levels me, meaning I get 5 more guns, survival, speech, and 1 point to science. While I am currently massacring them, Jack and Diane might be useful, not only to get me a steady supply of drugs, but also providing stim packs to the Mojave. And because they also seem like the type of couple who'd say they saw me from across the bar and they really liked my vibe. After stealthily ending the rest of the cons, finding some drugs and shotguns for repairs, I then head out to the mine to rescue some NCR troops to earn more money and XP. I'm still doing my best to stay neutral with the Legion, so they don't hunt me down. Still, a Stealth Boy silenced rifle combo is absolutely necessary. Luckily, the mine is cleared of the Legion infection, and the NCR goons are out of there. As Nick wandered the waste, there was something missing. It had been too freaking long since he saw a movie. Like, heck, even back as he was traveling with the other 3 idiots towards New Orleans, the boat guy had a TV in the lower deck to watch stuff on. Luckily, to cure his old world blues, his Pip-Boy pointed out a location on the map where he could catch some entertainment, take his mind off the dangers of the wasteland, and he's being kidnapped again, isn't he? Where was the boat going again? A bunch of stupid robots with brains tell Nick that now he's a 4chan user, a coward, and a CEO. And as much as this sucks, what sucks even more is that he can't leave until he helps them kill this guy. So whatever, fine, whatever. Now I've got a laundry list of chores to do and half a brain to... wait, I don't have any brains. So instead, I talk more with the evil murder machines to milk them of all their XP and help one of them get off, I think? I feel used and abused. Now we've encountered a problem. There is no pre-war clothing, as far as I know, anywhere in the DLC, and when the DLC started, they removed my pre-war suit and forced me into this fashion downgrade. Time to get started as I move to track down the upgrades for my sonic gun so Big MT is easier for me to move through. I level up fighting some lobotomites, getting 10 points of sneak and 5 points of speech, which is actually all I need once I get my normal suit on, since that gives me plus 5 speech, and there's no perk that requires 100 speech, so essentially I can just call this maxed out. I also pick up the 2nd rank of the Demolition Expert for even more powerful blasts. I take a quick break into the Night Stalker lab, and stay back, being very useful to knock down and give me a chance to line up my shots. This container disgusts me. Once I arrive at the X8 center, I try running away, but the game won't let me. How rude. I clear out the building of robots, and now it's time for the fun quote-unquote trials. I run through the school, and I'm skipping all the footage. Why? Well, I don't know about you, but playing as an American in a recreation of an American school with an assault carbine, something just feels wrong about that. Once I'm back outside, I continue wandering around and gunning down the mentally handicapped, but it's okay, they attacked me first. I level up while fighting them, rewarding me with 10 guns and 5 medicine. Next up, I clear out the Y-17 faculty, taking out the robots with relative ease. After all, the company that designed them never accounted for the fact that they might be hit with 71 5mm rounds in a short time frame. Or a chainsaw. And as much as I'd like to give Nick a halo, let's be real, he's not going there. So instead, I steal from the dead and listen to my favorite podcast, Help! I've been kidnapped and lobotomized by psychopathic robots with brains in jars. Hope they finally address the Dean Domino situation. While here, I find one of the many personality chips I can use to restore the sink into what it once was. A place for a crazy man to get useful upgrades. This one being for the Autodoc, letting me repair my broken legs for free. I then raid Higgs Village for all I can find, including a pre-war businesswear, meaning I can once again be suited up exactly as a Nick is supposed to be. There's also a ton of mentats for me to consume to become smarter. Then, after marking some locations, I go back to the sink in order to lighten my load, before going to X18, where I get jumped by some skeletons. What is this? Skyrim release number 17? More wandering leads me to X13, and did it. Also, I found 2 Chinese manuals, and I leveled up, gaining 7 sneak, 3 barter, 5 explosives, and the intense training perk for 1 extra point of agility. A pack of Night Stalkers try and get the jump on me, but I'm too trigger happy for that to work on me. I investigate the nearby tunnel right after, looking for more upgrades and friends to upload, going to ham on the robots with my chainsaw, before I put the Chinese nearby at Camp Yahtzee out of their misery. Poor suckers. After raiding Elijah's base, I try to find Christine's rifle, but I guess I got lost in a scuffle a little bit beforehand with some super robots, so it's gone. Sucks, but what are you gonna do? Next is X17, killing robots to level up, gaining 10 in melee and 5 in explosives, and more flamer fuel to sell. I head over to X2 in order to pick up one of the light profiles, as well as get the big hunk of junk at the top. Honestly, dealing with the Robo-Scorpions isn't as hard as one might expect. Either my chainsaw can stun lock them, or my shotgun knocks them over on their butt long enough for me to finish them off. I do get jumped in the cave where the toaster program is, but enough stims and shotgun rounds, and they're put down faster than Back 4 Blood was. I gotta say though, one of my least favorite parts of Old World Blues has to be how often the game spawns enemies on you without any warning. Like, I get it, challenge the player, but it always feels cheap when I have to spam drugs and stims over enemies that quite literally came out of nowhere. Overall though, I think that's my only complaint about Old World Blues, because otherwise, it's my favorite DLC. There's plenty to do, a decent enough variety, I think it's really funny, and the rewards you get from this, while not as amazing as the vouchers and rewards from Dead Money, are still really nice and useful. Plus, with the right setup and drugs, you can get an insane amount of XP for doing very short tasks. Overall, 8 out of 10 DLC. Oh hey, I beat the Night Stalker stealth mission, neat. Gabe honestly wasn't that big of an issue, I only got hit once, and I even let him live, because I am very nice. Also, just wanted to point out here that I leveled not from killing enemies, or retrieving the stuff from Gabe. No, the thing that pushed me over the line was completing the Stimply Amazing challenge, to heal 10,000 HP with stim packs. What a riot. Oh, and 5 sneak, 10 melee, purifier. Once I'm done with the enemies outside, I then warp to the X17 area in order to explore the canyon and find the stuff I need. Mostly I'm just fighting abominations and Mr. Gutsies before collecting the plant guy and then heading down to the water zone to swim around and somehow not instantly drown. Good on you, Nick, for learning how to swim. After killing some scorpions who literally just appear out of nowhere, I continue my mindless wandering because, I mean, what else am I gonna do? Progress the plot? Dude, there's lobotomites out there I can kill to repair my weapons. That I wouldn't need repairing if I wasn't getting into so many fights. Shut up, I don't have a brain right now, so I can't logic. Z14 time. I'm realizing why a lot of YouTubers don't do the DLCs, because they're kind of boring to talk about, even if they're fun to play. Although there are few things more fun than gunning down Cazadors with a Dragon Breath shotgun while high on turbo. Well, getting blown up by Securitrons is close, but you know, Cazador Revenge is a slight bit better. I was actually starting to run low on shotgun rounds, my main rounds, because for some reason, the Sync's shopkeeper just wouldn't refresh his stock no matter how much time passed. At least now I have a Sync that can't produce water, which, God, what were these people thinking? Are they even geniuses? After going and grabbing the Muggy code I forgot, I now have all the Sync's profiles, and now it's time to upgrade them. But not before watching a lobotomite walk off a cliff. Sad, sad fate. Killing his friends did level me again though, increasing my survival by 5 and my medicine by 10, before I hop around picking up upgrades so I can get as much XP as possible from this crater. The Night Stalkers give me a run for my money, but I toss them around with my shotgun until they've had enough, and I can move on with my collection expanded. I throw the Mr. Handies into the lava in order to make a Star Wars reference, and no, I never jumped in after I jumped in the first time. After that, I just had to install the chips into everyone, and then bada bing bada boom, quest complete. And I've turned everyone on. Wait, I make Boris feel terrible because that makes me feel better about myself, and then I learn of a few more people who came through here, those being Elijah and Christine, but the third one was different. Klein didn't catch his name, but the two spent many hours conversing with one another, and he was smart enough to scrub most of Klein's memories with said visitor. All he does know is that this visitor knew Nick, and that he didn't seem too pleased with the fact that Nick was alive and well. Regardless, I have missions to complete, and not much time left to do so I go about chainsawing my enemies before I approach the final boss, the X-42 Giant Robo-Scorpion. While the Robo-Scorpion can do major damage, I've got two advantages on my side. One is he's pretty slow overall, and more than that, he's such a big target, I can hit him with just about anything. Although he might have dementia, because he would oftentimes forget we were even fighting, allowing me to get stealth crits on him by just hiding until he forgot I was there. I actually ran out of 5mm rounds while fighting him, but Maria was able to finish him off, as I finally got the chance to approach and put an end to Dr. Mobius, so I could get the hell out of here. However, there's something pathetic about Mobius, especially so when he reveals the truth, in that he's not the villain. He's the jailer, keeping those psychopaths at the think tank in check. Which, come to think of it, considering all Nick's seen, that's probably a good thing. Oh well, I leveled up again, picked up 10 repair, 4 science, and 1 barter, as well as another point of agility from intense training. After taking everything I could find, which includes a crap ton of mentats, it's time to talk to my stupid brain. After convincing it that reuniting is a good idea, it's time to go kick the think tank in their stupid, non-existent nerd teeth. But not before a game crash. As for what body parts I take back, well, my brain, obviously, but I also take back my spine, since while my torso can be crippled again, 10 extra carry capacity and an extra point of defense, when I need all I can get, is very nice. My heart can be left behind, who needs being poisoned anyways? Now, with all that out of the way, why don't we take this fancy-looking fire axe and kill them all? Crazy bastards had it coming the moment they slighted the gambler. Immediately upon returning home to Novak, a Cazador was attacking a civilian who died in the battle, which felt like a strange omen for Nick. Something was terribly wrong. He just couldn't tell why. After selling off what I no longer needed and collecting ammo I definitely needed, I head off to get the rebreather to finish Volaire. And you may say that Nick wouldn't wear this, but consider that he looks really cool. And he would do anything to look cooler than Ellis. So I think this is canon. Once the plane was up on the land, Nick finds a quaint little island and decides to conquer it. Once he helps Mr. House take over the entirety of New Vegas, he can keep this place as his secret little paradise, all for himself, where he can take the hose and do all sorts of things that does not involve children in any way, shape, or form. This is not an Epstein joke. I repeat, this is not an Epstein joke. After killing the locals, he decides to clean it up, throwing all the barrels, corpses, and tires into the ocean. He'll spruce it up later with a jukebox, bed, couple fridges for booze, and walls and roofs not made of the worst scrap metal imaginable. But for now, he's more focused on not letting this filth pile up, and letting the blood evaporate under the Mojave sun. Plus, the water wasn't even irradiated, so it could not only be drunk, but bikini babes could swim over without any fear of growing a third boob. Maybe a little radiation might be needed. Regardless, once all the trash that doesn't sink is shoved under the floaters, Nick reads a book that gives him +3 survival and takes a well-deserved nap, before warping back to tell Pearl the good news. That was a good use of 20 minutes. Now that that's done, I head back to Mr. House for my next quest, which is to deal with the Omertas, And while some of you may expect me to pull a Nerbit, I kinda like the Emertas. They're scummy and sleazy, yeah, but they're a fun kind of sleaze. And once the heads are out of the picture, I can trust Kachino to make this casino a better place. Before I destroy the guns, I do what may be one of the coolest things I've ever done in this game. See, I need a gun to fight the Emertas with, and while Kachino gives me one, it's a gun I can't use. So instead, I come up with a plan. I grab a sniper rifle from the stash before I destroy it, then stash it in a hallway no one really goes down. I have to leave the casino then for the quest to progress, then when I come back in, all my guns are taken, but they don't take the hallway sniper rifle, so I can use that to put a bullet in Clandon and the bosses, with one more level up giving me 10 in melee, 1 in barter, and 4 in unarmed to make things more even. With that, the bosses are dead, and the Italian mafia the families on the strip are cleansed. Next, I gotta deal with the Brotherhood, which is not going to be easy because, remember, suit. Then for whatever reason, I decide to help out Rex for the king. Not totally sure why, but I did. Sure, alright, this is an important thing to spend my time on. I convince Old Lady Gibson to kill her dog so I can have a brain for him, then convince the NCR goons to get the hell out of town, and then I kill them and steal their stuff for money. After making it look like they were killed by a third party instead of the mutants, I give the brain over to the good doctor, and then give him back to the king cause I like him, dang it. Once that's done, I decide to use Nick's brains for good purpose, picking up the Veronica-shaped key to get into the Hidden Valley bunker. This is because I need to kill them, and the last thing I want to do is take them head on. In order to do this, I assassinate Head Paladin Hardin and steal the cards from McNamara and the Head Scribe. I clear out the area I need to set the bomb, and then once the bomb is set, I run like hell with a stealth boy and a whole lot of prayers. I make it out of there without taking a single point of damage, and they're done like dinner. I let Mr. House know about the successful assassination, and then head out to Hoover Dam to prevent Kimball's assassination. As a bit of fairness, you know. Exterminate one society, help prevent another's, it's all balanced in Nick's book. Nick knows that any good assassination happens with a rifle, so he heads up to the nearest sniper tower and prepares to defend the president, which he does, and then the NCR gets pissy about me killing a repair guy who just so happened to be Legion. Like, it's not my fault you people are idiots. I shot a Legion. He must have gotten switched out before Bear Force 1 touched down. With that done, Nick decides to get himself an endurance implant and install the override chip in the substation before returning to Mr. House. But when he does, Mr. House tells something bizarre. While Nick was gone protecting President Kimball, somebody else entered the Lucky 38. A dark-skinned man with strange hair. Yet for some reason, despite clearly not being Nick, the Securitrons did not stop him. Mr. House reasons that it's because this person is an interloper, just like Nick is. The person came right up to Mr. House and informed him that he was aware of Nick's alignment with Not at Home, and that he wanted revenge. The man told Mr. House to send Nick towards the Canyon Pass near Primm, where he would face his destiny. And while normally Mr. House is the one to choose and not to obey, the man was most certainly going to be a threat to Mr. House's New Vegas, and so he told Nick to go and investigate the Canyon Pass, and the lonesome road it no doubt held for him. Entering the canyon, Nick soon united with Eddie, his companion for the duration of his visit here, who would quickly help him access a place to find ammo for his guns and make his own. He can't use any of the equipment or weapons, but the medical supplies are nice. Once he's fought his way out of the main building, the voice of the mysterious man speaks to him through Eddie, and after a long talk session, the man tells him to find a laser gun to blow up the nuke heads, and then finally lets him go. He also levels, gaining 10 explosives and 5 science, and another point of agility. The marked men that dotted his path forward stood almost no chance at stopping him. The silenced rifle in his hand had cleansed the Great Khans and the Whitelegs. Marked men would be no different. The marked man with a rocket launcher was dangerous, but taking cover and sniping him worked wonders, meaning Nick could collect the rocket launcher he can't use, and the laser gun to deal with the nuke heads. And then he clears out the ambush spawns. Looting occurred immediately after, and while most of it was entirely useless for the gambler, it was expensive, meaning they could be sold for a good amount of caps for more meds and ammo. Much of Nick's time in the Divide was spent wandering about and looking for whatever he could find, not only to make his life easier by finding ammo or healing supplies, but it gave him a chance to find out more about this mysterious person, and how he had been to all the places Nick had been as well, as if the two were fated to walk the same roads. After clearing out the barricade and the bridge, Nick could finally go underground to meet with the most dangerous part of this DLC, the tunnelers. They're annoying. They can knock Nick over, and a lot of them can poison. But a shotgun is a shotgun, meaning it has a high amount of effectivity against them. Once he breaches to the surface again, the man speaks to him once more through Eddie, saying that Nick took everything from him, ruined the world he had dreamed of, which drove the man to chase Nick to the ends of the earth, and had led him to set the trap that Nick knew he was falling for. But something about this place, and the man's voice, it reminded him of something in his past, a past he needed to discover the truth of. Another level gave him 6 sneak, 5 repair, and 4 melee weapons. After killing Beast and the small group of marked men, it was time to deal with the actual beasts, the Deathclaws, though they could be handled with the sniper rifle. Even the one on the roof is handled quite quickly thanks to his shotgun and all the various perks he's picked up. So once they're dead, he can head down to the lower area to pick up the snow globe, because Nick likes decorating his place. Sue me. He proceeded forward, dealing with traps, snipers, and chainsaw psychos. They're not even much of a challenge, since he can usually kill them before they get close, and if they do, the shotgun cleans them up. Though Nick is running low on supplies, so he retreats to the Brotherhood of Steel bunker to get over 300 stimbacks. His trip to the Sierra Madre providing a very valuable asset. However, Nick soon launches the nuke, which is probably a bad thing, but have you ever considered that whoever exploded deserved it? Ever consider that? He also levels again, gaining 10 in medicine and 5 sneak, as well as the light touch perk. Wait, why is it taking me so long to pick up this perk? One elevator set piece later, the building he's standing in just can't stop exploding, so getting out is of the utmost importance. The only way out, however, is to go even deeper into the exploding building, to go under, like tying a shoelace, which leads Nick into an abandoned apartment complex, something he's very familiar with. Another yap session with the stranger, and more sniping enemies way below him, Nick continues clearing out the areas of marked men. Honestly, there isn't much to talk about here, playthrough-wise. Nick kills marked men here, Nick kills marked men there. He kills them with a gun, he kills marked men until there is none. Let's just skip to the part you actually came here for. The confrontation between Nick and the stranger. The man stood before Nick, and at first, he was a stranger. But the fog would only last so long, as that face became more and more familiar.
You try that shit on me, and you'll be wishing your mama never met your father.
Coach, the de facto leader of his group. He had changed much since the last time he saw him, but there was no mistaking that mug. You took everything from me, the man said, as more and more interdimensional fog cleared from his mind. The bridge in New Orleans, the military and their helicopters. The horde grew louder and louder as more and more infected charged at the group. A hunter had pounced on Ellis, holding him down as he tore through the poor boy's chest. But his coach killed the beast and helped Ellis up. He noticed a disturbing sound. There were only 3 streams of gunfire. Turning back around, Nick had abandoned them, running off alone for the rescue helicopter. Enraged, Coach called out his name, and heard no reply back. The infected grew closer and closer to them, the 3 sprays of gunfire quickly turning to 2, then 1, then silence. As Coach pulled his katana out of the tank's head. He looked over the horizon, his escape plan and team dead. And once again, he was alone. But there was a glimmer of hope. The tank, in its final moments, launched a rock at the chopper, and it went down in a blaze of glory. But just as Coach was too stubborn to die, so too, he thought, was Nick. He was out there, alive. And Coach would stop at nothing to rectify that. And now, when standing before him, Nick felt guilt, shame, some gross feeling, one he didn't like in the slightest. In the moment, he wasn't quite sure what he felt towards the strange man who had been hunting him down for so long. In a desperate bid to redeem himself, a himself he no longer identified with, he appealed to the man's humanity and asked for forgiveness. In his time in the strange, post-apocalyptic world, he had learned just how much losing things sucked, and how pettiness and revenge only left one feeling hollow and despondent. Joshua Graham's war-forged heart had left him cold and hollow inside. Elijah's endless pursuit of revenge led him to being buried in a coffin of his own making. The think tank's refusal to think about anything but their own ambitions led them to destroying everything they loved, including themselves. Nick extended his hand to Coach and spoke genuinely, asking for forgiveness. And Coach, despite everything, accepts his plea. The eyes of the man who abandoned him and his crew at the Veterans Memorial Bridge were not the same eyes as the ones staring back at him in this moment. The decision was made even easier when he heard it. The Horde. Just like in old times, the Horde descended on the pair, and they began to fight back, gunning them down in a climactic battle, their numbers seemingly never dwindling. And yet this feeling, this memory, was comforting in a way, having an ally to gun down hordes of the undead with. Nick leveled once again as he finished off the last of the Horde, gaining 15 points of barter and the sniper perk. With that, he could finally leave the Divide a changed man, wearing now the outfit gifted to him by Coach, as his eyes turned to Hoover Dam. With one extra point of luck and some new drip, he knew he had to do one last thing. Avenge the people he had wronged so long ago. And so, shotgun in hand, he marched into Goodsprings and killed every single powder ganger. There, at the prisons, the camps, and Vault 19. The powder gangers were his first mistake, the first reminder of the Nick who abandoned his team. And they would be his last. He felt no remorse as their bodies hit the floor, clearing out every single one, to make sure that those he foolishly let die could rest in peace, knowing their murderers had gone to the great beyond, and were burning in the fires below. Enough stalling. It was time for Hoover Dam. With the NCR at his back, he stormed the bridge and gunned down wave after wave of Legion. The only thing separating them from the infected was their ability to wield guns. Otherwise, they were just as brain-dead and expendable. The boomers rained hellfire from above as Nick installed the override code before making it to the Legion base. No more waiting, it was time to end this. He would accept no surrender. He would spare no living things. The Legion were to die here, their lives ending with a hail of 5mm to the skull. Lanius didn't even survive a full minute of combat, dead before he could even retreat, the coward. Nick tore his helmet off and kept it as a personal trophy, before telling the NCR to piss right off. And with that, the run is done, as Nick has finally conquered Vegas. Bada bing, bada boom, I did it. Run's finished, and man, that was a lot of footage to comb through. The script that I'm reading right now to you is 14,003 words long, which is mostly accurate outside of a few notes I left for myself and the chapter titles themselves. Assuming 1,000 words equals about an hour of gameplay, I would have needed to write 15,000 more words to cover everything. When I said I cut out a lot of footage of me looting, I mean it. Thank you so very much for watching through this entire thing if you've done that, which this was a massive video, I'm certain of it, and I hope you enjoyed. If you liked it, consider throwing me an interaction of some sort, or maybe even subscribing. I plan on doing a lot more challenge runs in the future, but for now, adios, and I will see you nerds next time.